the most important thing about going into sculpture, the same with pottery, is you design what you're going to do. You know in your head what it's going to be. You have to sketch and draw and sketch and draw. If you don't, you're never going to get the body internalized in your mind so that you can sit down and do it. This is Mildred. Now, she's coming Saturday, if all of you are. But I have another idea. If somebody would like to come in their bathing suit on the way to the pool, but they got waylaid, because you're all pottery people and you all have clearance. And you all sign the liability agreements. So we can put you in a lawn chair where you can rest all morning. I would buy you a bag of clay. And maybe if we get enough people, everybody can chip in $1 and you can get 2 bags of clay. If you really are interested, or if you know someone who might be, or you can talk somebody into it, call Char if that's okay, or call me. And so we know we have a live model on Saturday. That makes all the difference in the world when you can see it and you can go up to it and you can decide how you want to reduce it. I brought this figure in. It's not clay, it's oil based. And I brought it in so you could see that you really, I can't really do something and reduce it. So this was full life, it's reduced to 1/5 life. Oil based, she needs her hands fixed, she needs her hair finished, she needs the star done, and her back together again because clay dries, so you have to keep at it. But the point in bringing it is, we can do the same with Mildred. We can decide, she's gotta be 18 inches high, and she can't be any wider than 18 inches. But you could have her laying down if you want, or you could have her sit up. If we don't have a live model. Now, if somebody has something at home, if you've got the little jointed figures, mine aren't here, they're in Wisconsin. But the jointed figures work too, and that'll give us a chance to do something. We have one over there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll just go for it. Now, there are at least 3 forms that we use. Oops. Tools are important. And this is a pipe method, and we'll show you that. I use Melmac, you can use plywood, you can use maple, you can use hardwoods. So the Melmac scrapes off, cleans the board easily, it can be drilled in easily. You have a flange, that's that round circle. It's screwed into the board. The size of the flange fits the size of the pipe. That gives you support on your piece when you're going to build it. You may build a big piece with a big tall pipe or a little short one. And I've got some back there that you can look at while we work at it. I would suggest you can also go on Amazon. You can find anything that you might need on Amazon. Oh, come on. The flanges, you can find them at Home Depot. They have all sizes and all lengths. They're $10 for a flange. The pipes are all different sizes. I like the pipes because the rest of the body is freeform. The pipe just holds it in place. So if you're gonna move it, take it home, work on it somewhere else, you're not gonna have it slide off and lose it. That is why I use it, but some people just freeform. She was a pipe. Got a hole in her bottom. This was freeform. No pipe, just freeform. Carved out, put back together again. She was a pipe, sitting on a rock. But Home Depot, not this one, but the one on the other side of the 5, excuse me. They have a better selection if you're going to do this. My pipes, my flanges, they're 15, 20 years old. Nothing happens to them. They just keep going. So once you invest, a turntable, you can use these here, but I have my own. You would want your own because sometimes you like to work at night. Or this is a table. I have a table at home. I love it. We're gonna bring it tonight, but we didn't have any room in the car. But that was a Christmas present from the kids. What do I want? Okay. And that adjusts, it spins, it rolls, it moves, and your piece, you can work with it all the time. That's what's really neat. Now, there's a list in here, just the same as this one on the board. If you come Saturday, by the way, I want to thank Robin, she's coming Saturday to help, and I asked her, and there was no question. Yes! I thought, wow, okay. I want to thank Barbette too, because she talked about coiling the other week. And we had all the gentlemen and ladies who talked about glazing, oxides and glazes. All of that's important. But here in this studio, we have everything, and we're very lucky in that respect. So you're going to need all of the things that you probably have already. You're going to need a masking tape, you're going to need the newspaper, because we spin it around the shaft of the pipe, and we'll show you that. So when we get our figure done, we slide it off. Unscrew the pipe, and we're ready to go with another piece. One piece per pipe, one piece per board. But you've got plenty of room. You want a squirt bottle to hose or squirt down your piece. You're going to want, well, of course, the cutter, your table saw, or they call it the wire, whatever it is. All the things you have for pottery. There's nothing different here. You've got it all in your pot. You've got your needle nose, you've got your pliers, you've got your screwdrivers, you've got your plastics and your wood scrapers. You've got all the things, most of you, if you're potting. If you're a designer in pots, you've got all that stuff. Some of you are amazing, just amazing. There's a free-form style. That's this one. This is free-form. You just pick it up and start moving the clay till you get what you want. She's got a little design. This is free-form. This is out of pipe, but free-form afterwards. The pipe anchored her so that we could do what we want. That's free-form. Sometimes you use the pipe, sometimes you don't. There's a, I've got two of those little ones. You take newspaper, flatten it out, roll it out, get it real flat, tuck your newspaper underneath and shape it the way you want with the newspaper. Dries out, we pit fire them, we glaze them, we put 2 holes in before we fire them. We took rawhide around them and hung them on the walls. They look really great. But you can do that with planters and with other things. All of you people that are building by clay and hand building, no difference. You're all ready to go. You've got the skill you need. So don't be afraid of this. This is not hard. Yeah, proportion, how am I going to do that? Well, the more you do it, the more you will know what looks right and what doesn't. The more you pot, don't you know what a pot looks like and doesn't look like as you work it? Don't you know how you want it to be? How you want to change the top and the bottom? That's instinctive because you're doing it all the time. You know exactly how to do it. I'm making it a little easy, but it is easy. That's a free form with newspaper, but it hasn't been fired yet. Those are big. We could only go 18 inches. We could only go 18 inches wide. So she'll make it, but some of the others won't. This is a free form. She's just fitted, and when you do free form or a piece, and you're going to have her out like this or standing, put it on a rock. Put it on a form so that it rests. Otherwise, you're going to be juggling the legs and the arms, and you're going to be disappointed, and you won't have the structure that you should have. So put it on something first, and then build on top of that. That's freeform. That little ballerina torso. She's got clothes on. The shape of movement, 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 movement. Arms, legs, skirt, body, twisted. Doesn't stand this way, it moves. No human body is straight. They move. And they're not all perfect. we have bumps here and bumps there and fat here and fat there and everything else. Huh? What?
So was that me you were talking about?
Oh, no. She's freeform. And Pat, we fired this baby. It turned out green. I did like the green. We fired it again, and it turned out purple. But that was okay too, but it stressed, so it cracked, and it couldn't be sold in the galleries. The galleries will not take things that have cracks, at least the one I'm in. She wants it, it's high end, she wants it high end. No cracks, no chips, no fixing. That won't ever go back into a gallery again. That stress cracked, you couldn't even see it. But it was there, and I said, Gina? She said, no. I said, okay. So my very best friend has it. She liked it, so she got it. So, you know, there's always Christmas. So, but that's how we fired it the second time. Raku fired. Twist, she twists, she's moving. She's not laying there. You can look at her from any angle and she has movement. That's what sculpture is. It's movement. Your pots have movement in their silhouette. They have movement in their designs. This is just a conglomerate of freeform. Males don't sell well. I don't know. Women do. And it's not only men, I mean, women and men buy sculpture. They don't want it, well, let's put it this way. The oil base becomes bronzed. That's a different high-end clientele. The smaller pieces can go anywhere. They can go in a bedroom, they can go in a bathroom, they go on a kitchen shelf. And people want that, and they're not expensive. They're $150, $200. They're not $4,000 or $3,000. So and since the pandemic, people will buy more sculpture. They don't usually buy sculpture, they buy paintings. Why? They grew up with paintings. The family had paintings. Very few families had sculpture. So sculpture is, and also all of this stuff is, discretionary. No one needs it. No one needs it. So you're in competition with other people who are building things. Build your best always. Because you've spent a lot of time in it, you might as well do the best. I don't always, but I'm preaching, so it's okay. This one, my gallery didn't want it. She said, it looks spotted. So I don't like it. I said, okay. So what we'll do with this piece, because we fired it, what we'll do with this piece is we'll refire it. See what happens. But it's moving again. The skirt, I don't know what happened. What happened? It doesn't matter. A kitten, animals. If you're an animal, Joan, I think it was Joan, a lady named Joan in here that did wonderful little whimsical pieces. Yes. They were charming. Yeah. And she painted them with, I think, coyote. But they were absolutely charming. They were not realistic either. They were fanciful, but they were just, and they sold. People bought them. They loved them. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you go perfect in clay, you're going to be really somewhat frustrated. Because when I go to do a face with grog in the clay, and I've smoothed it, and I've worked hard, and I've done the sponging the whole bit, and all of a sudden, oh, that's a piece of grog. Okay. So back to the drawing board again. Perfection is going to be there for you if that's what you want. But take your time on it, because it can drive you crazy. That's this piece that's broken. There's also a slab and coil way, and I have a little start on that. Barbette started the coils, just building up. Robin does the slabbing. Slabbing is easier to me than the coils, but you know, it's what you like, what you're comfortable with. It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. It's your piece. This is a Third Life, big slab. Started out with, you can see it's about a ½ an inch up at the top. It's about an inch on the bottom. It took forever, 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 forever. She is also a slab. Now, she was rejected from a show because she was improperly done. It was not anatomically correct. Okay, rejection. Can we take rejection? All the time. It's just what it is. Don't be discouraged if you bring your pieces to a gallery. And we'll talk about that later on in the afternoon, in the evening. The back is carved out. She's trimester. It's Mary full of grace. It was a 16-year-old girl named Mary. She gave her child up for open adoption. She called it Grace. If you notice in the inside, I put life. When I asked the judges why, they said because you cut the back out. Okay. It's sold anyway, so it doesn't matter. But you can't argue. You can't argue with judges, and you can't argue with a kill person. When they tell you to do something with your piece, you do it. Trimester, and all the way across. It was oxide. I oxidized, rubbed oxide all on the neck, places I wanted to stand down. No glazing, flat, and it went to a wellness center where they helped young women, so it works. There's also piping, and this is the pipe. This is across your fingers. You don't have a model? Right here. I've made about 9 of these. Not one woman has bought 9. They have sold to men. Don't know why, but they have. It's easy. It's white crackle glaze. Another female, she would have a pipe, close those pipes sometimes afterwards. Just, it's a little bit nicer, a little bit more discreet. Bent over, there's no detail here, but when you glaze something, or when you raku it, or you pit fire it, it hides a multitude of sins. I don't need to be perfect. The piece doesn't need to be perfect. If you want it to move, that's what we're emphasizing. You may not want to do that. That's okay too. That was a big piece. In Wisconsin, I can go big. I could go this big, because I a bigger kill, and there's no restrictions. And if I blow it up, I'm only going to blow mine up. That was pit fired. Pit firing is fun. I understand that the sculpture class did that on the ocean down by Data Point. I don't know any. Jay, we were talking to him, and he said that there is no more sculpture, and he taught it, and I'm sure he was wonderful at it. And I think that that's what we need here. We should ask Saddleback. This one was not piped, but I did start with it, and then I took her off. She's blue crackle. Mother bought this for her daughter's birthday. She collected sculpture. Another big piece. They're harder. Faces on big pieces. They want to see faces. When you make a face on a smaller piece, they'll look at it and say, I don't like the face, and they'll walk away. So, unfortunately, or fortunately, I've learned not to put any faces on. Then they can think anything they want, and they can look at it any way they want. But that, you know, you have to, you're marketing. That's part of what you're doing, as well as whatever. And she's clothed. We don't put clothes on her, we merely detail so it looks like clothes. And then we add the skirts, or whatever else we want to give it movement or flow. You get into clothing, and you run into all kinds of trouble, because you have to have that fixed. Slip, we'll get to that later, but I use Epsom salt in my slip. Little sprinkles. There were some potters that worked up in Door County in the 70s, and they always put Epsom salt in the slip. I don't know why, but I brought Epsom salt, and if I got some bags, if you want to put it in, fine, take it home. But I always put it in my slip. They said it helps it adhere and stick. I don't know why, and I don't argue. I'm not.
It's a flocculent.
It helps it stick all together. It just gives it more oomph.
What kind of ratio do you use?
Pinch. You're right, but no. This piece, I make a lot of. It sells, it pays the electric bill. It's a good seller. It's like mugs. So if you have something that sells, you make it. You make 2 or 3 and they sell. Different sizes, different colors, different shapes. Put a leg out, bend a leg, put a leg over, put a foot on top, put the head down. You can change it all around. Yes, ma'am.
Is a raccoon?
That's raccoon, everything's raccoon.
Oh.
Everything but the pieces that were in the tattoo parlor. They're coyote. And now we have something new, don't we? A different kind, are you still using coyote here?
What is coyote?
Underglazed?
Underglazed.
Yeah,
Underglazed.
color?
We have velvet
both.
underglaze.
What?
We have velvet underglaze.
Yeah,
We also
we
have coyote.
have coyote.
We also have.
We have both, we have both.
Yes. Okay. She was small last year. People like the small. They can fit it anywhere. They can take it home and put it anywhere. That's another thing you want to think about. You can make great big things. Make them for yourself. If you want to make them and sell them, think about it. Because very few people are going to take something really huge and spend a lot of money for it. Maybe I'm wrong. Yoga poses work well. They give me an opportunity to do different shapes and sizes. They're hard, and you have to bolster as you go. There's a lot of corks holding things up, a lot of skewers holding things up to get the hands where you want them so they'll hold. And raccoon again. Pat and Rich have been wonderful. They have given their time, which is really nice. Just a sampling. I think you've seen them all. Sculpting anatomy. I think what we're going to do is we'll go back and just talk about these three processes, and then we'll come on back later and go through the anatomy and the proportions and things like that, if that's okay with you, or we can keep going. I just want to be sure that we have enough time to do some of the demonstrations, because this is a pretty amazing turnout. It really is. If you wanted to pick up, also, while I got it here, this is a caliper that I use for life. This will take an arm length. Can I use your arm again?
Yes.
She's
Everyone,
fine.
please turn your cell phones off or to vibrate.
Your arm up. She is about as tall, whoops. When you go in for a model, if you're using calipers, never touch her or him. Tell him you're coming in. This is set for 1/5 life. So this should be about the same size if I didn't move it in the interim. And that gives you a relative ability to judge your length of things, so that you're from the shoulder to the wrist. So you're not way over than you should be. There are lots of calipers. This one is just a little bit more involved, but we have them here. This is a smaller version, and I like it for smaller pieces. It's just easier to handle. It's just a preference.
Is that like an anatomical kind of
Yes,
sculpture?
but this is a little freeform, twist, little movement. However you treat the tops or the hands. I used to flute them like ruffles, and then they looked like Shrek. And I thought, oh wow, this doesn't work very well. But the reason I did this is so that you could see we're going to cut it in half. When you make something this big, or small or bigger, like that green piece, and you decide to do it all solid, you have to take it, you gotta cut it in half. The same with portrait faces. If you're doing a head, you can fill that head, you can start on a pipe, you can fill that head with a lot of big paper, and a paper bag so before you start the clay on it. But when you're done, and don't forget you got shoulders and neck to hold that head up. But when you're done, you're gonna have to cut it and clean it out. And then score it back together. I'm sorry, ma'am?
Will the paper burn out?
You can, but the kiln here won't let you do that. Well, Ben has always said clean it out, so I have done that. But I know that. I have a friend that doesn't do it at all and it burns right out. So I'm sure it does, and it's not a problem, but
They won't let you do it.
yeah, you have to follow it. Now, when you cut this in half, I usually go around the waist. Maybe that's not the best way to do it, but I hope it's not too hard. Oh, she set up, she was in the garage. Whoops. So, I take just the regular cleaner. You've got sharp edges, and you've got that's not we've got the ones with the sharp edges so you can scoop out. And just scoop it out. Not any more difficult than that. And now we got into a discussion the other night about clay. And somebody had said, well, it dried a little funny and her beautiful jar lid did not fit any longer. So we talked about clay. And she said, I said, well, what kind of clay do you use? And she said, whatever the name was. And I said, was it new clay? And the question was, no, it's not. It was reconditioned and reused. Well, I'll tell you something. If you're gonna make a figure and you're gonna spend a lot of time on it, don't save the clay. Go ahead and just do what you need to do to get the piece done. I'm just going to go a little bit. Do you understand what I've done here? Okay. Most of you do that with your old pieces. I'm sure in some of the pottery you can do things like this too. I don't think we're inventing the wheel here. But scoring is another thing. And when I put her back together again, she will be scored. Now Robin had something really neat. She made a cork with a lot of needles in it, and she just boom, 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 boom. Well, I'm still old-fashioned, and I'll still score with this thing. And I just score as I go, all the way around. I'll take her apart later.
So how much of the inside do you have to take
Oh,
out?
all the way down to about a quarter of an inch.
Even the legs,
Even
you
the
have to
arms?
take it out?
Yeah, if you can get into the legs, go ahead.
Is
Do
that
you go
leather
from the
hard?
bottom with the legs?
No, you can if you want to. Now Ben is going to have you put something through here to the cavity inside. So if you want to take a leg and go through it, go ahead. Because you'll make him happy, it won't blow in the kiln, and you'll get the job done. So it depends on how you want to handle it. There's no right or wrong way.
So once you dig out, let's say from the leg on the bottom, and you dig out all the internal clay, do you take a piece of clay and just close the hole?
No,
No?
leave that hole open. You want it open, you want, you want the gases, everything to be kept fresh through here. So you can clean it that way too. It's no problem, doesn't matter. Another thing that you can do after you get it done through is to poke. You can poke all the way down as far as you can go too. That helps when you do that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Rio?
Is it,
Right. What?
Is it leather hard or is it?
This is pretty leather hard, yeah. I had it in the garage, did it last night. I think it's a little bit too hard,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
still
Yeah,
okay.
'cause
It's
it
coming
looks like
out
you're
all right.
really having to.
Yeah, I have to dig at it.
Yeah.
But still, I'm not going to change it by squeezing hard
Yeah.
because it's firm enough.
Yeah.
So once again, that's your style. I mean, if I told you you had to do this or that, it did not work for you. Everything is flexible. There's no right or wrong way. But as you say, you can go from the bottom and go all the way through. So either do it that way or with a smaller, how many tools? Some of us have thousands of tools and you wind up with 5.
Oh, that's
You
good
love
to
it, and
know.
that's all you use. But you can go all the way through with a tool and go all the way up in.
So like even those arms are.
No, those will be all right.
Okay.
Those will be okay. But you've got, we're all the way through. So, is that okay with everyone? Does everybody understand it? as far as the
But you
slipping.
don't wanna close it up and leave the air.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. No, you don't, I don't close it up. I
No,
leave
you
it all the
gotta
way
have
open.
it, you gotta have a way for
Right.
the gas to vent.
So if you didn't, if we didn't clean this one out, we should have poked a hole through it anyways, into
Okay.
the cavity. So it's either a hole through or carved out, whatever you wanna do. It's up to you. But you still, well, you would go further than I did here, because all of this takes a little bit of time, so I didn't know how you felt about it. With the scoring again, I make my own slip, and I forgot to get some tonight for Stony. I brought a can for it, but I learned a long time ago to make my own slip. I'm sure all of you do, but this is pretty classy place when you can have slip all made for you. Wow, that's pretty cool. But I love a paintbrush. I use a paintbrush for almost everything. Nice little flat art paintbrush. It's on the list of things to buy. Oh, there is one thing I should have and I didn't do it. May I have a container of water, just a little bit of water, please? Just grinding in and putting it on. Now, when you put her together, you can either put an entire ring around the, thank you. That enough? Oh, that's more than enough, yeah. That's a lot. That's fine, thank you very much.
You want me to dump some out?
Yes, please, I just need a little bit. Okay. Thank you, I see it going in me anyways.
Out because you wanted to be lighter, the statue, the whole up, the statue.
I take it out because if I don't, it will blow up. It will blow apart because there's no air. There's no air inside. And you can't let the gases out. So if you clean it all out, I poke a hole in. Now, this is not all the way. It should be much more than this, and that should be much more. But for tonight, I'm just doing a little bit so that you can see it. Now, remember to put her on the same way you took her off. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. And I like to score it. I like to score it this way, but not a lot of people do. So you can score it this way. Oh, another thing. Ladies, cut your fingernails. If you don't, you will have half moons. And that half moon will show up after you have fired it. And it will show up here, or here, or here, and it's sad. So cut your fingernail. So I don't have fingernails for a long period of time. Now I can do this and smooth it out all the way around, smooth it out. Or I can take a little piece of clay and make a little tiny little coil. Little tiny skinny coil. I don't like to use those because it widens the shape, but you could still do that if you want. And then you can put it in. You can, I'm not using fresh enough clay, but you can smooth it in and smooth it all the way around. So whatever works for you, whatever you like, whatever you think works, that's it. So that's one. That's a free form. Be sure you cut it. Be sure you hose it down as much as you can. Oh, we talked about paper and figures. Nothing ever works when you want it, right? You want it to be perfect, doesn't work. Okay, these are, whoops. And after it's done, and this is only 2 days, so it's not, but if I were to put a hook here and one over here and a rawhide and glaze it and maybe decorate it, even get more on it, the head fell off. Okay. But it's movement once again. So you can do all kinds of things. Flowers, birds, whatever you see in your head.
That looks a little thin. Is that about like an eighth?
Yes, it was. I rolled it. That's probably not right. I think when I made the bigger ones, they were bigger. They're probably quarter inch to a half. So that also, and I didn't cut my fingernails, so I had a lot of little half moons out of these. But this is fun. This is easy and it's fun, and you can do all kinds of things with it. And if you're not, once again, so careful, you can grind that down and fold it over. Look You do all kinds of things, cars, kids. I get exaggerated now, but you can. But that's a fun way to do things. And it's easy. We pit fired a lot of those, and that was a lot of fun. We never knew what we were gonna get. There it was, so it's half the battle. We have another piece that I finished. It's a pipe piece. Now, I probably goofed on this one, and we'll find out. This one was made on a pipe, in which I took the pipe and I covered it with newspaper so that it slides up and down. And that's what you're gonna build your figure on. This was on a pipe like that. When it's done, it's semi-leather hard. My mouth is so dry. I guess I'm not used to talking.
You have some water here.
Here, is this your board?
Well, I do, but it doesn't seem to hold. Well, you need one of these, and I hope it will work. I don't have a strength. Can you pull? Yeah, to that. It may come, because it was too thick, it may come to the bottom. I should have been so.
Twisted.
There you go. There you go. Okay. Thank you. That's all right. We can pull this off by itself. But there's your hole. She comes, oh, that's all done. It's already
So
done.
you don't have to carve out the legs and
Yeah.
the arms?
You can if you wanted to. I chose not to. I chose to give it a foundation. But you can. You can make it as, I'll show you in just a moment, as fragile as you want to. But that's piping. It's on that pipe. It's not gonna go anywhere. It's a little taller pipe that I use, but it's a good way to do a big piece without losing it. And you can move it around. This is stony white.
Now,
Yes, sir.
that piece you just have with the pipe.
Yeah.
You have a big mass in the front, you have to open that up also?
No, no,
This here?
no, not necessarily.
No, that'll be okay?
I should be all right. If you're concerned, if the kill master's concerned, draw a scoop of it. No big deal. Just draw a scoop of it. Scoop it out. Nobody sees the bottom. Also, if you're doing sculpture, you want to be sure you buy tiny little felt pads. They go on the bottom of your piece before you take it into cell. Same with your pots. Do that so they don't scrape somebody's nice wood table. So be sure to have those
They're right
ready.
there.
What this is, oh, here we go. This is a coil. I did a coil instead of a slab, and this is the start of a figure. And oh, I forgot how hard it is.
That's a start.
It is hard. Now we're up, I'm gonna have it, make it a little higher, so I'd be half thigh. And then you connect it so that it's all one big piece as you go up. How do you put a butt on? You decide what's the front and the back. As you get up higher, add the clay for the bottom, for the butt. And if you have the breasts, and it's a female, add the breasts as you go up to the front on the outside. After the coil is done, you add it. Add to it. Now, when we talked about a piece like this, some people can take a slab of brick, they can take their slab of clay, and they can carve it away. Nothing wrong with that. That's amazing. People who can carve like that amaze me. They can see it all the way. Turning your piece always so that you can see it as you work. But you might want to do it that way. You might want to just carve. And then when you've carved it the way you want it, cut it in half, clean it out, put it back together again. There is no right way. There's just lots of ways. This would continue up. Maybe we'll finish it Saturday, work a little more on it. But this barbette, I'd scored between each one. Each one of these is scored. Each one is slipped. I did not just stick it on and hope it's going to stay. It will not. The one time you cheat, you're going to lose the piece. Simple as that. That's not brain surgery. It's just what happens. This is a new piece, and I started it this morning. So that, whoops. Now, once again, I put the legs on. The legs are not really, nothing is finished yet. She's blocked out. Now, if you come Saturday, we'll take Mildred or someone who wants to come Saturday in their bathing suit, let us know, and we'll work off you. We will, yeah, we will work off you. We'll block it in. We will not finish a piece on Saturday. It will be impossible, but we can block them in. And if you want to do your piece that way, Robin and I'll give you a hand. If you want to put it on a pipe, we'll give you a hand. We'll start you off. That's what it's all about. If you want to do freehand, you can just take your clay and start feeling it. Put your figure out on a rock and start forming her or him. There's a great piece in the front window of a motorcycle. Now it's not detailed, but it's wonderful. It's moving. You look at that and you think, whoa.
That's Joe.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And so what I did was I thought I would wait to get here and we would add the arms and the shoulders and the head, if that's okay with you. 6:50? Oh, we got that. I need to sit down for 1 minute and then can we just, yeah. Yeah. They're not right. Sometimes I look at them and I think, oh, this leg is too long and the knee isn't right. Well, you know what's nice about this? You just take it off and you make a new one. Don't sweat it and don't fuss. Don't keep going at something. Your oils take everything out and you wind up with pieces and you can't work the clay after a while. As soon as you can go to a tool, use a tool. I think anyways. Not everybody would agree. Some people work only with their hands, but it dries out. This, I've got hard pieces of clay to use as things to keep a piece in the place I want it when I start. We're gonna put her shoulders on and we're gonna put her head in. The head, don't forget to put a stem on the head so the neck has something to hold on to. Don't just make a little round head and plop it on. It won't work. It'll unplop somewhere in the shelf.
What's your favorite clay to use?
I use
Stony White?
Stony White or WSO, because I'll raccoon. So, but some people like beaded. I use Bruce's White in Wisconsin. It's very little grog. It's great clay, beautiful white color. I like the white only because then I think I got a fighting chance with the colors in the raccoon. That's all. Otherwise, we use brown. I've already set a colored piece in, and I was never comfortable with it. But you know, not everybody is like that. They could all do what they like to do.
Maureen, what's she sitting on? What is that disc?
She's on the pipe. She's freeform.
Oh, she's on a pipe. Okay.
Wait. I did put her on a rock.
Oh, yeah.
I could have, now, the next couple of days, when she's a little firmer, I'll take her off and work this whole bottom part. I won't do it now, because I'll have bush. Now, if you want to put her on a rock, we could do it right now. But finish the bottom first, and then put her, you know, clean this up first. Once again, anatomy is kind of funny. Well, man, actually these bodies are magnificent. I wonder all the time how we're so lucky. But anyways, that's another story. I roll for legs and arms, and I get them on, and if I don't like them, I change them. If they're not quite right, of course tonight nothing will be the way you want it to look, because there's so many eyes here. And they all know what to do. It's like preaching to the choir. I bet there's some.
Not necessarily.
Well, okay, this is going to be kind of a long arm. But I'm going to have her arms come out, and I'm going to have, whoops, yep. Now, another thing, there's nothing wrong in mittens for hands to start. There's nothing wrong in a mitten for a hand. And then when you get a little bit further along, it's suggestive. You can put a little toe in that toenail. But if you got into the 5 toes, and the toenail, you're gonna be spending an hour on the toenails and the toe, and the whole piece is gonna dry out before you get the rest of it on. So, we're gonna put some shoulders in on her. And I am brutal. I am brutal when I add something. And I'll tell you why, because then I know it's gonna stick. Especially if the clay is wet still, you can do that. You don't have to necessarily put the slipping in. It's when you've taken something like that, you cut it in half, and then you need to slip it. All right. Now the arms are kind of funny. They come off the back. That's what we would, if somebody were wearing a bathing suit Saturday, we would know that. See? We would be able to, we'd be able to look at it.
You gotta be very confident to do that.
Oh, you don't. No one will make a comment. It will be wonderful. Everybody here will be beautifully wonderful. They will not say anything. They will not go home and say anything. They will just be so nice to you. You will never understand it. You will say, oh my goodness, look at her. Isn't she brave?
No, that's true.
She's come to help us all. And she gets a bag of clay. That's not much, but I don't know, you guys in your clay, you go through clay like potters go through. I never saw so much clay used. The guys up north in Wisconsin, they 500 pounds of clay. What do you do with 500 pounds of clay? You make production pottery. You make all kinds of mugs, and they sell $45 for a mug now. Are you crazy? Yes. $45 for a mug. I remember when mugs were $10. Is that, am I old?
It's inflation. Yeah, it's still $10 if it's not handmade.
At the artist's fair at the garden club next week.
Well, we're gonna, maybe make it a little longer.
Potatoes $1, cucumber is $1.50.
And I'll turn the shoulder a little bit forward. And maybe I'll turn her a little bit. And move that one back. And I'll work off the back where it's gotta come up. Now you got back shoulders and planes. You got a middle down the bottom. You gotta worry about the butt. There's dimples in the back. That gives it definition. What else? I try to use the same wedge of clay that I start with. Now, I'm just gonna quickly put the head in because there's a lot where, oh, I gotta get the arms on too. With a head, and some of you made a good comment about, do they sell without faces? Somebody asked me, and I don't know. I think they do. I think they sell better. But maybe it's because I don't do good faces. Faces are hard. They take a lot of effort and a lot of work, and we want to be able to have. Another thing some people do, I know I'm skipping, so I apologize. Some people finish all the hands and the legs first, and then they stick them on. They'll do a whole leg with the feet and a little arch in the foot and the heel, a little ankle bone, or they'll do the arms, and then they'll attach them. I sort of put them on, and then I worry about, now that's too big a head, isn't it? Is that too big? No? Huh?
Too long.
A little bit.
Next
huh?
week. Stick it down that.
It's gotta go down.
A little bit. Maybe I should delegate it to somebody today. Also quiet. My goodness.
Mesmerized.
Now another thing too, if the clay you're using, I'm using this, and I'm using this, and I'm using, well, I'm done with it. But I don't take from these because they're too dry and too hard, and they'll flake. So don't, if you cast it off, it's done. It's not gonna go back into your pea.
So
Now-
even if you sprayed it or anything, you still don't do it?
Nope, I wouldn't take a chance, I just wouldn't do it. But the clay is not that, I can get 5 pieces out of a sleeve. You get 5 pieces at $65 minimum, you paid your clay. It's only clay. Oh, that is a funny head. Well, just keep at it.
Is it right tomorrow?
Now, regular teaching instructions, teachers would have you working on a head separately. They would have you working on the neck and the joints before you attached it. They would have you know all these things. I just kind of putz along.
Maureen,
Yes, ma'am.
did you ever formally learn how to do sculpture, or is just by yourself?
Yeah, I took a class in Door County. First it was drawing, sketching, and then I took a beginning sculpture class. And then I took one, I had a friend who said, I have a timeshare in Scottsdale. Let's go to the Scottsdale Art School.
I love it.
Okay, so off we went. And that was a sculpture class by a very prestigious gentleman. I've got his book up there. His name was Bruno, and he was world famous.
That's his tool.
And but to watch somebody know what they're doing, holy mackerel! I mean, it just
Incredible.
it is. It was just so wonderful. And you think, well, okay. But once again, what is your purpose? If you're making it for your own good, fine. I like to make it. I like to make it. I like to sell it. It's a gratification. It's a validation. Right, affirmation. It is. That skull I made because I had to for that first class. And then there was a farm show in Door County, and I decided, what do you do with a skull? So I wrote the letter. There was a letter with it, and I put it together as that slipped my mind. When you add a lot of stuff.
Installation?
Installation, or there's another name too.
Collage?
Collage. Yes. And I put it with barn boards and pulleys and stuff I got off my farm. And it won an honorable mention because it was so different. So you don't have to, you could take something and make it do something else. You don't have to make it be that sculpture. Maybe it will be something in a fairy garden, in your yard or something. I mean, don't just think of a sculpture as a sculpture. I don't think. Anyway, all right, that will give us a little bit of it. Oh, arms. Yes, she should have arms. Should she have? Are there any questions? I know I talk a lot, and you probably have 100 questions as you went. So,
Okay, you got a post going down from the neck.
yeah, into the body. Uh-huh.
Yeah. You clean that out later, or you
Nope,
just
leave it. Because it gives us, the more, once again, we've got this whole neck area solid now. And we've got this attached to it,
And that's okay.
and that's okay. Yeah, because it's not gonna be way in there. And that whole piping, and I will pull this out and then I'll stick my pricker in there, my needle in there, and poke some more holes in. You can see they're rusty. Oh, before I put my pipe in, I use Vaseline so that it won't freeze up on you. So you have to have Vaseline, petroleum jelly, and it'll help you put it on. So there's lots of things you can do here. You want to take a break and we'll finish this. And I do have some things I want to show you on that go with that sheet if you have it. If you've picked it up off the desk, and if you don't have one and we are all out, we'll send you one if you want it. She's got an arm, she's got an elbow, she's got a hand, she's gonna have a mitten until I decide what I'm gonna do with it. I'll work on that arm some more, I'll add some more to it, but it's just not too hard. Yeah, she's not really well. I'll have to work more on her. But I'm trying to show you how to bulk it out, and that's what we would do on Saturday. We would bulk it out.
What's the proportion of the upper arm to the lower arm?
I can't tell you that. I have a proportion sheet in the handout for you. Eyeball. The arms are not as long as the legs. You have all these proportionate sheets over on the walls that are really good and helpful. Once again, that's going to come as you do it. You look at it and say, well, that's all. That's not right. Something's wrong there. Well, my goodness, I got to change that. So you change it a little bit. Work on that so that it's coming out too far. You have to soften it. Move it around a little bit, soften it up. Anything else? Any other questions?
How much is it to sell?
145, 167, 225. I don't know. I have a piece I'll show you in a few minutes that I made last year here in the studio, sold for $245. So, pardon me?
Is it a raccoon?
Raccoon. It's a Qigong pose, healing hands. Because I do Qigong. I've done that for a long time. I probably should do something else, but I don't. So, yeah, you know what? If you price them so high, they'll never sell. You're not in the museum business.
But if you price them too low, people don't think they're valuable.
No, not necessarily. I think if they like it, they're gonna buy it. If it speaks to them, it's good. But you can look at a piece and you can say, would I buy that piece for that price? You have to it's discretionary money. Nobody needs it. And I know that doesn't sound right, but they don't.
No, it's what feeds your soul.
What feeds your soul. So, and then I would add hair, and the hair will come down. That hair hides the face. So I don't have to put a face on. I can put the hair down. I can bend her over more. Whatever. Any suggestions?
When
Any
you put
thought?
the hair on, do you put it on like in little coils, or do you put it in like a little?
Well, there's a lot of views on that. If you put it on one, it looks like a helmet.
Right.
So you have to be kind of careful. And yet, when you raccoon it, it doesn't matter. But when you're doing detailed work, and you want to be very specific, then you really have to be careful. And it's almost fashion. I'll fashion the piece that I'll show you. I fashioned. When we fired it, half of it broke off. So it's sort of this beautiful long coil. Kind of, well, okay. See, it's just what it is. There's nothing you can do about things like that. Wet it down. Cover it up.
Can we see the front before you cover it up?
Pardon me?
Can we see the front of it?
Oh, certainly. I'm sorry. The arms need work, of course. This is a long time coming, so we want to just sit. See? Look at that. You got a lot of nice things there.
Oh, nice.
I like her bust, her hips, her waist. She's a dancer.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. A lot of detail. A lot of detail.
Right.
And if you enjoy working small like that, that's wonderful. Because not a lot, that'll go anywhere. That'll fit anywhere in anybody's house. They can pick it up and take it with them.
When you were saying
Skeleton. Let's go. Well, the skeleton of the first one, they're a little out of order. When I gave it to them, they didn't print it the way I wanted it printed, but and it's rudiment. It gives you an idea. You should know where the muscles are in the body. These are for you to take a look at. And the comments on the side tell you muscles or bones, whatever. A portrait. Some of you may be interested in portrait work. Here's a way to divide that face. Look at that. Giving you pretty much classic. And then a little bit more detail in how you can divide it. It's very true. The nose goes here and the mouth goes here, and that will help you get a proportion. I'm not sure. I think I have I put in 3 things are the hardest to do. The eyes, the ears, and the mouth. Now, I got to the point where I'd make 2 eggs, cut them in half, flatten them out, and make my face on the egg, and then I'd make my sculpture, and I'd cut the front part off the face, and I'd jam that on, and away I went. Because I couldn't do the face while it was still on the figure. I'm not good at this. I'm okay. I'm just not comfortable doing it that way. A lot of people are. If you're a portrait person, wow. Wow. You do have a skill. This is one face. So she was raccooned with, it's a little hard to see the raccoon here, unfortunately. The green leaves around her head. Yeah, she looks a little better that way. But that's an egg cut in half with the face up. It took a long time. I really worked at it. It's not easy. But some people can do it, and it's amazing. Just amazing. Here is one of my pieces. She's next to it. She's a little fatter in the face, but not that bad.
That was good.
It's not bad. I wouldn't do it again. You can tell I'm not a portrait person, but you still need to do it. You need to do it so that you understand it, and the more you do it, you internalize it. Once you internalize it, that means you make it your own. You make it part of you. You can do anything. You can probably do anything anyway. And that's her, but that's a face, once again. And the clay is very forgiving, the oil-based clay, very forgiving. Really.
Very expensive.
It's very expensive. Yeah, that'll cost anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 to bronze.
No, for the clay.
The clay, no, clay is $20 a brick. It's a brick. Take off what you need, put it in the microwave, warm it up, so it's pliable, and that's what you use. Just keep bricking it and going at it. She's got a lot of work to do yet. But a piece like that, not me, but there's a sculpture in the book. We have the gentleman down in Laguna Hills, or Laguna Beach, you know, where you have to turn to go north on Graymer.
Yeah.
Damon Cole, beautiful sculpture, bronze. Okay, he's $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, $20,000 bronze. Costs him maybe $3,000. But what he does is he's got maybe 3 people who buy all the time from him. So they pre-buy, and they say, I want that piece. He says, okay, it'll cost you $2,000 now. They give him the $2,000, and maybe another one, so he's got $4,000. He goes in and it costs him nothing to do. He makes 3 pieces. He'll sell it to them for a discount. So instead of a piece being $4,000, he'd sell it to them for maybe $3,500. So they've already paid half of it. The bronzing is done with. He didn't cost them anything. But you gotta be really good. And you have to have a reputation. There was a question.
Yeah, did you use a model?
That was a live model.
For the face?
Yep, a live model. Yeah, I
Live
should have.
model.
Yeah,
She's,
as a matter of fact, she was here tonight.
really?
My daughter.
Oh.
That's Annie, grabbing for a star. See, I can't get a live model, so, hey, daughter, you're it, you're it. Now, showing your work. If you're going, I have a list here, and I don't know if I got some pictures. One of the things that I do is that I'll have a picture of my piece, and on the back, I write this information. When I did it, when it was fired, how big it is, what the glazing was, what the clay is. Because by golly, when I went back and looked, I thought, oh, how about that? Okay. So if you're going to get serious about this, keep a record. This can be used for your pots as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be for sculpture. Also, if you wanna go into a gallery, read this through. Go down to Laguna Beach, you guys have got the best arts colonies in the country right here. The best galleries in the country, but the best competition. So get your ducks in a row, get your best pieces together. Read through this. You need to have an artist statement. You need to tell about yourself when you go into a gallery. You won't go in itself. You can go in and look and decide that might be the one. Find out when their open days are, when they will look at pieces or when they will talk to you. Don't assume you're gonna get into a gallery the first day you walk into it, because you will annoy them. But find out when they take pieces and when they take new clients. Have your simple biography, 1 page. Don't get into all this stuff. Simple. What'd you do? Where were you? What was your background? What made you do this? Then you need to have an artist statement. This is the statement. This is for the piece I'm going to show you in a minute. That was a Qigong piece, healing hands. And I was in the, Rayu was here when I was working on it last year in February. And I thought, what the heck, I'll put it in the show. Well, it didn't win anything, but it got sold. So what we really want? And that's the piece before it's glazed. And this is the piece when it was raccooned. And that went for $245. Like this. Okay. Wow. And I priced it because I was going to give it to my kid for his birthday. It didn't work. So we got that one instead. It got broken. Anyways. So, I want to thank you for staying with me this evening. And now, who's coming with their bathing suit on Saturday morning?